Good morning, and thank you for being here today. As you are aware, Hamilton has seen a troubling rise in number of shootings within our community. This morning, we will provide an update on the efforts of the shooting response team and share the latest developments in the investigations into these incidents. At this time, I would like to bring up Investigative Services Superintendent Marty Schulenberg. Superintendent?
Thanks, Adam. Good morning, and thank you for being here today. As you know, Hamilton has experienced a rise in shootings which continues to undermine our community's sense of safety. Today is an update on where we stand with many of these investigations. Our shooting response team is doing outstanding work to make our streets safer. This specialized team allows us to focus more closely on these investigations, relieving some of the burden from our broader criminal investigations divisions. By concentrating on these cases, the team has been able to better understand the underlying causes of gun violence in the city of Hamilton, identify trends, and make vital connections between cases. September 21st of this year, we exceeded the highest number of shootings that this city has ever experienced. Since January, the shooting response team has conducted 48 of the 54 investigations that have occurred in this city. This resulted in the arrest of 30 individuals and the laying of 196 charges. This focused approach is producing results, but there's still much work to be done. Community involvement plays a critical role in addressing this issue. When we have the community's cooperation, we can act more quickly and more effectively. However, I want to be clear. Even when we don't receive cooperation or we're frustrated in our efforts, it does not mean that the investigation stops. It may take longer, but we are committed to ensuring that those who are responsible are held accountable. We're doing everything we can to address gun violence in this city, including taking firearms off our streets. Year to date, 323 guns have been seized, 70 of them being restricted weapons. Many of these firearms have been modified to make them capable of automatic high-capacity firing. Our team is seeing results, but we urge the community to step forward, continue to step forward, and support us in this vital work. Together, we can make Hamilton safer for everyone. Right now, I'd like to turn this over to Detective Sergeant Steve Berezouk, who will provide more details on these investigations.
Superintendent, thank you very much for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. My job as the staff sergeant of the shooting response team is to oversee the unit and the work that they do on a daily basis. Right now, we are actively investigating the ongoing surge in shootings across the city and have made 5 recent arrests in connection with these incidents. I'm here to update you on these charges and continue to appeal to the public's assistance in several outstanding cases. And you've heard this is a theme. This is what we're asking for. We are continuing to ask for the public's cooperation. In the past several weeks, the shooting response team have made the following arrests. On October 7th, Akua Page, 25 years old, from Hamilton, has been arrested and charged in relation to a shooting which occurred on August 13th, 2023. Page was shot after letting a 6-year-old child play with his gun. The gun discharged and left Page with a non-life-threatening injury. This firearm has never been recovered. Second one is on September 17th of this year. An 18-year-old youth was arrested in connection with a daytime shooting at Sanford and King, where another unknown male was used as a human shield, and you've seen video to this. Given the suspect was a youth at the time of the offense, he cannot be named under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. We continue to search for the second person involved in this incident. That's the second shooter, as well as an individual used as a human shield. On September 4th, a 15-year-old youth was arrested after a daytime shooting across from Lime Ridge Mall on September 1st of this year. We executed a search warrant in relation to this case, and as a result of the search, we also found fentanyl-laced gummies and subsequently issued a media release and a warning to the public the danger of these particular items. Number 3, on September 19th, Dominic Desjardins, 24 years old, from Hamilton. He was arrested and charged after a Hamilton cab was shot at in the area of Gage Avenue and King Street on September 7th. A firearm was recovered during the execution of a search warrant, as well as a quantity of fentanyl in this case as well. On October 18th, Alexander Law, 23-year-old from Hamilton, has been charged in connection with a shooting at 52 Gage Avenue North. This is where 3 people were injured on June 2nd of this year. In total, these 5 accused face a combined 43 criminal charges in relation to these incidents. All 5 of these accused men remain in custody. I should point out that none of these cases are in fact linked. I would like to touch on some wanted persons. Recently, we've released media releases with respect to 2 males. We are searching for 2 males wanted in shootings which are unrelated to each other. The first one is Kevin Johnson. He's 44 years old. He's behind me. He's from Hamilton. He's wanted for an alleyway shooting near Market Street, which occurred on June 23rd. I'm asking him to turn himself in. We do believe he is in the city of Hamilton. While 22-year-old Gary Patrick Cunningham from Beaton, Ontario was wanted in connection to a shooting outside of Peddles Bar. This occurred on August 24th of this year. Again, I'm encouraging both of these men to turn themselves into police. Again, Johnson, I believe, is in the city of Hamilton, while Cunningham's whereabouts remain unknown to us at this time. However, we are undertaking investigative efforts to locate Cunningham, and I'm confident at some point we will locate him. We are continuing to appeal to the public for assistance in solving several unsolved shootings, including 2 separate incidents that left 4 individuals individuals injured. On May 31st of this year, a daytime shooting took place in front of 111 Market Street. We previously released video of this shooting, and we're still looking to identify the individuals involved. They are over my right shoulder. We do believe we are close to identifying 2 of these 3 males. I will not tell you which 2 of the 3. However, I am encouraging those to contact a lawyer and turn themselves in. On August 10th of this year, a daylight shooting occurred at Sanford Avenue North and King Street East. We are still looking to identify a black male in his late teens to early 20s wearing black pants and a black hood or dark blue Puma hooded sweatshirt with the hood up. This was the shootout that occurred again in broad daylight. On August 25th, there was a shooting at the Club 33 located at 33 Bowen. 3 individuals were shot, 2 sustained life-altering injuries. Despite a parking lot full of people, not one person has come forward to assist us with this investigation. On September 21st, a shooting has occurred outside of Cooler's Bar at Upper Gage and Fennel, where 1 victim sustained a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. So today we're releasing, again, images behind me, of some video and still images of the individuals who were present at the time of the shooting and had some interaction with our victim before he was shot. I'm asking that these individuals to contact us. We feel that they have information that's pertinent to the shooting investigation. I will go as far as to say as they could be considered a person of interest only. Again, they may be witnesses, but I'm encouraging them to to contact us so that we can further investigate the matter. Moving forward, on October 10th, there was a shooting in the area of Showcase Drive. That's our most recent shooting. This occurred on the city's east Upper Mountain. While there were no injuries in this particular shooting, a vehicle was hit in front of a residence. And prior to this shooting taking place, the victim was involved in a road rage incident. So I'm looking to speak with 2 individuals, and again, I'm appealing to the public for assistance in identifying these 2 men right here behind me. If you do have information, please reach out to us. Please contact us at the Shooting Response Team. Our number is 905-546-4883, or email us at the Shooting Response Team at hamiltonpolice.ca. We do need your assistance. We are more successful when we receive information from the public. We are able to apprehend offenders much quickly. It's not that we won't get there, but we can do it much quicker when you assist. So please help us. Thank you.
That will conclude the media conference, and we'll open up to questions.
Obviously, super alarming when we have a record year of shootings in the city. Can you talk a bit about the concern in the community and how concerning this is to police?
I think that's a good question for the superintendent. I think that's a fair one for him. I'll let him take it.
Well, thank you for the question. It certainly is a concern in the community and for us as well. I can tell you that as a police organization, we continue to be frustrated by the repeat offenders that we are dealing with in relation to most of these offenses. In terms of demographics, although the majority are committed by adults, majority of these shootings, we do certainly have a percentage in which we have young offenders as well. And that's concerning because although many shootings are targeted, that doesn't make them any less important or concerning for the safety of the community. We hear from folks in our community and we are concerned about it, which is why we have dedicated our shooting response team exclusively to prioritizing these investigations.
Were there any shootings that occurred that appeared to be random and not targeted?
Again, the lion's share of our shootings are targeted. When we experience a random shooting, it's often the case where we have a young offender involved, somewhat more indiscriminate in terms of their use of a firearm, and clearly not appreciating the consequences as well.
I'm hoping you can clarify a couple of the incidents that you highlighted. The Showcase Drive shooting, the photo that you showed, where is that from?
That photo is from the area of Pritchard Road and Rymel.
So that is from
It's
the road.
right from the road. It is from right from the road. That image is from the road inside the vehicle of the victim.
And is the road rage incident not the shooting?
That is not the shooting. That's the incident just prior to the shooting. I don't know if these two had anything to do with the shooting. That's not what we can determine at this point. But we do think they're important to the investigation in its entirety. So obviously, I'm looking to identify who these two are. I'm asking for them to contact us so we can determine if these are in fact isolated incidents or are they one of the same. I don't know. We don't have the answer to that just yet. So we are looking to identify them. We've been unsuccessful internally in an attempt to identify them. So we're putting it out to the public and again asking for the assistance.
They're not in a vehicle in this photo. So can you
They were not in a vehicle. They were operating a pickup truck at the time. I don't have an image of that particular vehicle that they were in, but that vehicle is not the vehicle that was seen at the shooting, which is that gray silver SUV, which we previously released.
But they got out of the vehicle during the road rage incident.
Correct.
Can you describe what happened? Like, did they block the vehicle? What?
I don't think I'll get too specific in how it happened, but obviously both vehicles stopped. These guys did get out of their vehicle and then obviously confronted our victim. Words were exchanged, but obviously it seemed to break up, I think, once they realized they were being videoed. And then they got back in their car and fled. But that's all I know.
And there was no weapon used?
Correct. There was no weapon seen or utilized in this
So
particular
they're
incident.
pointing, but that's...
They're pointing, there's no firearm seen here. But again, I'm curious to know what that particular incident was about. If it is in fact just simply the road rage, then let us know that. But we do want to identify them. I think they're important.
And Alexander Law, obviously, we know that name well. He's been charged in a number of other shootings. So was he charged in custody?
Correct. He remains in custody, and his information that'll be relayed through the courts, but he has been formally charged with the new offenses.
And is that shooting connected to any of his other shootings? Like he was on the run from the first shooting at the time of this one also, correct? Or yeah, maybe I have the times mixed up.
They're not, so he's charged in a number of different incidents, obviously. I'm not prepared to say that one was linked to the other one. They all, at this point, to where we're at, appear to be an isolated incident. I don't believe that they're necessarily linked.
Right, but the homicide happened while he was on the run from the first shooting when his photo had been released. Do you know where this one fits in the sequence of events?
I don't have the specific timeline. We'll probably get that for you afterwards. But
Okay.
to say that they're connected, I don't think that's fair right now.
Other than the same accused.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And the incident involving the 6-year-old child with the gun, I don't know that we've heard that before. Can you, when and where did that happen? Do you have any more information about what happened?
Well, I'm going to let Detective Dugdale come up, and I think he can answer that.
Thank you, staff. My name is Sergeant Matthew Dugdale with the Shooting Response Team. Just in regards to the investigation with Mr. Page, that incident happened last year in 2023. Mr. Page showed up at a hospital or medical center to seek treatment, and that's how the investigation began. Our investigation then led us to determine that we believe the shooting happened at a residence in the east end of Hamilton. We did execute a search warrant at that residence shortly after the shooting took place, and led us to believe that the shooting did in fact take place inside that residence. But like the superintendent said earlier, sometimes these investigations can stretch over a long period of time, And even though we don't get the arrest immediately, it is something that we don't stop working on. And this investigation thankfully came to a conclusion this year.
You say, you said last year in East End, can you be any more specific, like even like the month or?
I believe it was in August of 2023. Yes, August of 2023.
And it was in a residence?
We believe that the shooting occurred inside a residence, but we were not called to the scene at the time it happened.
Was there a lack of cooperation?
Yes.
In terms of what happened, given that like the time it took for you to figure out what happened?
Yes, I would say that's accurate. Like many of our shooting investigations, we do find a lack of cooperation from those involved, which then impedes our ability to conduct these investigations. They are fairly complex. So one of the reasons why this one took a little longer than some others was that lack of cooperation.
Were there other adults in the home at the time of the shooting?
Yes, I believe so.
And they didn't come forward to say what happened also?
We have had some cooperation from some of the people involved, so I don't want to blanket say that we haven't had any from the people involved, but the primary witnesses, I would say, no, we have not had much cooperation.
Was a firearm seized or the firearm seized in that case?
No, for that specific shooting investigation, the firearm remains outstanding.
In general, do you know how many of these the firearms have been seized or are outstanding? It's kind of a big question, but.
In relation to, sorry, in relation to?
All of them.
I don't know that. No,
That's a long list.
There's a bit of a list there, yeah.
That is something that maybe we'll be able to follow up with and get you that number, absolutely.
Can you tell, I understand that somebody said that the guns are being modified in some cases, the firearms. Can you talk a little bit about that? and the
Superintendent?
modifications that you're seeing?
Yeah, thank you. Many of these firearms, although they're already restricted in terms of requiring a higher level of authorization to be able to obtain them, and as we know, they've been, a lot of handguns have been recently determined to be illegal. There's been a change in legislation. However, these guns are still arriving on the streets here in Hamilton. Approximately 90% of the firearms that arrive illegally in this city, in terms of crime guns, are being illegally imported from the United States. And those guns are capable of being modified by adding high capacity magazines or a component that we call an auto sear, which enables them to go from a semi-automatic functionality to a fully automatic functionality. And I believe we released a video recently that demonstrates the lethality of that particular function. And so that is sadly what we're seeing as a reality on the streets in the city today.
So you just mentioned that most of these weapons are coming illegally from the United States. Is there anywhere else that you've been able to identify where these guns are coming from?
No, other than to say, and just to reiterate the fact that the statistics that we have coming from our CISO, Criminal Intelligence Service of Ontario, demonstrates that, in fact, approximately, I believe it's 89% actually, of these crime guns are coming from over the border.
Thank you. And would you be able to share how many fatal victims there have been to these shootings this year?
Sorry, bail victims there have been?
Fatal victims?
Well, fatal victims for our shootings. I don't have that number at the top of my head. I can tell you how many homicides we've had this year. Again, I would say what I can tell you is that in most of our shootings, or in many of our shootings, we have serious injuries, but again, the majority of them, that's why they become under the mandate of the shooting response team, is that there was no fatality involved. So this year to date, we have 8 homicides in the city of Hamilton. But on top of that, we've had the 54 shootings that have fallen under the auspices of the shooting response team.
Thank you. And are there any indications at these times that any of these shootings are coming from organized crime?
So organized crime is always a facet and a concern of ours in relation to shooting investigations. There's certainly an element of it. There's many different facets of organized crime when we talk about that. I would say it's fair comment to say that the majority of these shootings are related to the illicit trafficking of either goods, substances, drugs, and or human trafficking. And so in that context, certainly there is a certain level of organization to criminals engaged in those activities.
Can you talk about human trafficking in the city?
I'm not prepared right now to get into great detail. I don't have that information at my fingertips, but it remains a concern for us in the city of Hamilton. It's clearly, we see it in other parts of the province as well. But I can tell you that we do have a human trafficking team here that works with our provincial partners We are the beneficiaries of a grant program in relation to human trafficking investigations. And often criminals involved in the trafficking of individuals, whether they be local or beyond the borders of our province, they do arm themselves as well to be able to benefit from and protect their criminal enterprise.
This might be hard to answer, but what is it about 2024 that we've seen a record amount of shootings? You know, is there anything specific about this year that you think could be leading to more shootings?
No, that's a good question, and again, I'll go back to my earlier comments. We continue to be frustrated by the high level of repeat offenders that we are dealing with. There's rarely an investigation that I don't hear from our investigators in terms of not being an individual who's already been convicted of a criminal offense or currently subject to a judicial release. And I know that that's something that we're seeing provincially and federally. It's been talked about at many levels, and I would say our experience in Hamilton is no different than anywhere else in the province in that regard.
A number of the shootings have been like broad daylight. We saw the video just there. Do you know how many were broad daylight, or can you comment on the concern about, I guess, that disregard for public safety?
So I don't have the numbers in terms of the total daylight versus evening hours, but as you suggest, there have been a number of broad daylight. Not only, and of course our concern is not just the fact that it's in daylight, but it's also in highly densely populated areas, and it's the brazen nature of it. You saw the one video here, the shooting on Sanford Avenue, middle of the day, a lot of people around. The Children's Aid Agency is just up the road there, a lot of traffic in the background. And what that suggests is just an unwillingness to consider individuals around you, and it's a lifestyle in terms of applying the illicit trafficking of drugs or other substances, and it's a complete disregard for the safety of those around.
You mentioned that often that the suspects are people allegedly involved are people already known to police on release orders or bail. Is it also common that they would already be prohibited from having weapons?
Yes, that's typically a condition that the courts will place on anybody convicted of any violent offense or weapons offense. So yes, that is something that we frequently experience. Okay.
That will conclude the media conference for today. Thank you very much.